Nobody wants her. Like she had to go over there where her reputation didn't so much precede her in order to get a check. So my friends, we need to be a little bit more discerning in our invitations. It was just more inanity, saying absolutely nothing about anything with a huge windup to every single quote unquote point she was about to make. She makes you work so hard. You have to sift through 500 words to get to the 4 that actually do have meaning, but then you realize that those 2 are entirely empty.
Hot off the press, this one's a must-watch. Megyn Kelly just tore into Kamala Harris, and it was equal parts hilarious and brutal. Harris flew to Australia to deliver one of her trademark word salad speeches, and let's just say, she lived up to the reputation. I've got the full breakdown ready for you. Hit that subscribe button, and let's dive straight into the chaos.
We're lucky, aren't we, to just get a little bit of this gold dust, that the realtors of Australia are what bring her out of hiding.
Like, for what lessons exactly? First of all, she's never been a salesperson. Don't you have to know sales and very well to be a realtor? Like, that's one of their greatest skills. You'd think they'd want somebody who is an excellent salesperson. She's never been in the public sector doing any sort of sales work whatsoever, other than her fake little stint at McDonald's. But let's face it, those burgers sell themselves. So what could be gleaned from her? First of all, you got to be a little concerned. Like, it'd be one thing if she were in hot demand over here and like she just made time for the Aussies because that's out of the goodness of her heart. Nobody wants her. Like, she had to go over there where her reputation didn't so much precede her in order to get a check.
Honestly, my reaction was the same as Megyn Kelly's when I heard Kamala Harris was invited to speak at a real estate conference. Seriously, what were the organizers thinking? Handing the mic to someone with zero background in real estate and expecting insight? Please. What was she going to discuss? Evicting common sense? Megyn might be onto something here. At this point, it's hard to tell whether Harris was genuinely honored with the invite or if she maneuvered her way into a paid gig. Either way, it's just another odd entry in the ever-growing Harris highlight reel.
And then the bits that I saw, because earlier today at least, it wasn't put out on video, so we were just getting little sneak peeks at it from what my friends over there, got and put online. It was just more inanity, saying absolutely nothing about anything with a huge windup to every single quote unquote point she was about to make. She makes you work so hard. You have to sift through 500 words to get to the 4 that actually do have meaning, but then you realize that those 2 are entirely empty.
I'll play Kamala Harris's clip in just a second. But first, Megyn Kelly was spot on. I lasted 5 minutes into that interview before I had a full-blown headache. Not from the substance, because let's be real, there wasn't any, but from trying to decode whatever she thought she was saying. The worst part, she leans in with that serious, almost presidential look, like she's about to deliver a profound insight, and then unleashes the most confusing, circular, cringeworthy word salad imaginable. It's like watching a TED Talk delivered by a magic 8-ball. Think I'm exaggerating? Just listen to this.
You are in an interaction where you don't have that level of awareness, they will be aware of that. I mean, this is the thing that I've also known about life, and I'm sure everyone here understands. The vast majority of human beings are very intelligent.
You know what? I'll spare you the agony. I won't drag you through the rest of that speech. Out of the entire hour-long performance, maybe a minute and 2 seconds made any sense. The rest, pure gibberish wrapped up to sound inspirational. And here's the kicker. People actually paid $1,000 to sit through that. A grand to watch Kamala Harris do what she does best, say a whole lot without saying anything. Did they really not know what they were signing up for? This isn't new. It's like buying a ticket to a mime show and expecting Shakespeare. And of course, Megyn didn't hold back. Her next takedown was scorching.
Basically just giving a version of the same speech wherever she goes, which of course is the laziest possible thing, and they get paid a huge chunk of change. Can I read from one of the newspaper accounts of what she said? Quote, she said, real estate agents could be considered, quote, civic leaders for their role in connecting buyers with suitable homes. The point... She just turns up anywhere and insert industry or who I'm talking to and tell them that they're civic leaders. They're flogging apartments around Australia and beachside on the Gold Coast. Civic leaders, please.
I know. I promise no more cringy Kamala Harris moments, but this next clip is too ridiculous to ignore. At one point, she starts rambling about civic leaders in real estate helping to connect buyers. And what does that even mean? Was she suggesting neighborhood activists moonlight as real estate agents? Or that city council members should start hosting weekend open houses? Who knows? At this stage, decoding Kamala's speeches feels like reading horoscopes written by ChatGPT on a triple espresso. What really gets me is the way she delivers these lines, with total conviction, as if she's unveiling some groundbreaking policy, when in reality, it's just another word salad tossed with extra confusion.
They don't even see themselves like that. Like, they know a lot about houses and what would make somebody happy and what's a good deal and what's not. But civic leaders, what is that? That's like your preacher, probably your mayor, I don't know, some activist in town who's taken up an issue that's important to the town, like no windmills offshore. I don't know. But it's probably not the realtor. And that's just, of course, her empty pablum, because CAA took her on as a client, this big agency that I used to be with too. And I'm sorry to tell you, but you guys were the only takers. So someone was really excited until they found out, like, literally no one else wanted her. I shudder to think what the check looked like. They cannot get her any gigs over here. No one wants to hear from her.
Kamala Harris doesn't get many speaking invites around here, and it's not hard to see why. Everyone already knows what they'd be in for. An hour-long ramble stuffed with buzzwords and void of substance. Her speeches are like fast food for the brain, overly processed, nutritionally empty, and somehow still unsatisfying. Maybe a room full of lawyers would enjoy hosting her, since they could treat her monologues like courtroom evidence to be picked apart. But for the rest of us, we'd rather hear from speakers who inspire, inform, or at the very least make sense. And let's be honest, Kamala hasn't checked any of those boxes in a long time.
Not sell real estate the way the people listening to the show likely can. She couldn't sell herself. So why would you think she would have something of value to say to you about sales, which is the business of real estate? Like, she didn't win the presidency. She didn't win the nomination ever. She couldn't. She failed miserably when she actually did run. She couldn't sell herself as an inspirational woman, nor as a woman from Puerto Rico or Jamaica or where else were her accents from? She couldn't sell herself as any of those things. All she really is an out-of-work lawyer. So I mean, maybe you should ask her about contract law. She might be able to say something valuable on that front. Otherwise, it was a waste of everyone's time.
Honestly, I don't think Kamala Harris is cut out for politics, or public speaking, for that matter. The gaffes just keep piling up, and it's impossible to keep track. It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion, except there's never a crash, just endless confusion and awkward pauses that leave everyone wondering what they just heard. Public speaking demands clarity, confidence, and a genuine connection with the audience, 3 things she consistently struggles with. Maybe it's time for her to step back, retire quietly from the spotlight, and return to something she actually knows, like her legal career. There's no shame in bowing out gracefully to pursue a role that's less public but more impactful. Not every path leads to the White House or the main stage. Sometimes the smartest move is knowing when to exit. For Kamala, going back to law might be the best option for her reputation, and for the rest of us who are exhausted by the endless word salad.
Pointed that she didn't try an Australian accent because, as you say, during a campaign, there she was, if she was in the South, she tried to sound a little Southern. And what was it that your daughter, doesn't your daughter have a little piece of advice as to how you can try to sound
how you can
Australian?
Sound Australian. You say, rise up lights.
Razor blades.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Kamala Harris.
Blades.
Have you got any razor blades? See, that would have worked. It would have worked. Maybe I was trying to think.
What I'm actually saying is rise up lights. I'm in American English, I'm saying rise up lights, but it translates into Australian English into razor blades. but I sound like a local, don't I?
Absolutely, and you are welcome on any of our conferences anywhere, and they'll pay you better than she did. All right.
Oh my God, I know. I should be offended that I wasn't invited first. I'm much bigger in Australia than Kamala Harris is. Where's my invitation, realtors?
Kamala Harris comes off as so phony, it's hard to know if there's even a real version of her. If someone ever made a clone, good luck telling the difference. She can swap accents faster than a Broadway actress in a one-woman show, Southern twang, urban slang, folksy Midwest charm, you name it. She'll morph into whatever persona she thinks will make her relatable in the moment. But it's not authenticity, it's performance. She's always acting, always adjusting, never just being herself. And the irony? The harder she tries to connect, the more disconnected she sounds. Voters can see through it. People don't want a chameleon. They want someone genuine, someone who doesn't reinvent themselves every time they grab a microphone. With Kamala, what you hear isn't who she is. It's who she thinks you want her to be. At this point, her speeches feel less like leadership and more like auditions. And the audience? They're not clapping anymore, they're cringing. Even Bill Maher warned us about Kamala Harris more than once, but too many ignored it.
She is replacing the vice president because, she's just not very popular anywhere. And it didn't seem to work out. And I don't know, that's been done before on a ticket. I just think she's a bad politician.
If only the DNC had listened to Bill Maher and plenty of others. When they warned against elevating Kamala Harris, they might have avoided the crushing defeat in last year's elections. But instead, the party was too busy checking boxes and chasing identity politics to hear the alarm bells. Let's be honest, Harris has never enjoyed broad popularity. Her approval ratings were abysmal long before she was thrust onto the national stage. Her speeches sound scripted, her policies vague, and her public persona disconnected from everyday Americans. Yet the DNC kept doubling down, as if electability didn't matter. This wasn't just a miscalculation, it was political malpractice. When the stakes were sky high, Democrats gambled on symbolism over substance, and voters saw right through it. Harris should be nowhere near the 2028 presidential ticket. If Democrats don't wake up to the reality that performative politics doesn't win elections, they're not just risking another loss, they're practically handing the White House to their opponents on a silver platter.
The problem with the Democratic Party, they're so boxed in by identity politics that you cannot conceive of a Democratic ticket that doesn't have a woman, person of color on it, and pretty soon you're going to line up behind that gay Latino, and you're going to have, a deaf Eskimo.
Absolutely. Identity politics may end up being the undoing of the Democratic Party. It's become a crutch, a way to signal virtue instead of delivering real results. Without it, Kamala Harris would never have come close to the vice presidency, let alone be floated as a serious presidential contender. Her rise wasn't about merit, broad appeal, or policy vision, it was about optics. The DNC has developed a bad habit of pandering to narrow interest groups at the expense of the broader electorate. Instead of uniting Americans around common goals like economic growth, national security, or education, they focus on appeasing the loudest factions. And it's costing them. This tokenism doesn't build confidence, it breeds resentment and division. It sends a message that demographics matter more than leadership or competence. Until Democrats break free from performative politics and put forward candidates who can actually lead, they'll keep alienating middle America and keep losing elections they could have won. Kamala Harris is the perfect example. A political performance that falls flat. Unconvincing, inconsistent, and painfully out of touch. Her endless gaffes, shifting accents, and hollow speeches prove she's better suited for private life than the national stage. Voters want authenticity, not rehearsed relatability, and every awkward appearance just reminds us why fewer people are buying what she's selling. And with that, we've reached the end of today's video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.